Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're gonna talk about what do rich people eat and how much is it to recreate the food. So what's the real cost of that? I did some research online and I found some weird things like a $169 hot dog, a $295 burger, a pizza for $2,000, and the craziest thing of all, like seriously crazy, a $25,000 taco. Today we're gonna take a look, of course, at the burger. I'm gonna try to recreate it and see how much the actual cost is. I found a description with ingredients on the website. A lot of it is just way over top and things I would usually never use, but yeah, let's try it today. And because we're going to enter Fancyland today, we have to change the music to get a good atmosphere. And we're going to start with making the buns, which are some brioche inspired champagne buns. First we're going to add 1 3/4 cups or 230 grams of all-purpose flour. Every time you're going to hear this sound, you see in the lower left corner on the register how much this ingredient was. Make sure there are no crumbs in your flour and let the snow fall. So let's put our little winter wonderland away and let's go with our next ingredients, which is 1 1/4 tablespoons or 18 grams of sugar. After that we're going to add 3 1/4 teaspoons or 6 grams of salt. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong. No. Yeah, there we go. So, okay, now after we know how the salt works, we're gonna put all that away and we're going to add the yeast. In this case, we're gonna use 1 teaspoon or 4 grams of dried yeast. Mix all the dry ingredients together and then we're gonna add our wet ingredients, which is 1/3 of a cup or 80 milliliters of lukewarm water. And after that, we're gonna add 2.5 tablespoons or 40 milliliters of champagne. You can use any dry champagne. You're also gonna add 1.5 tablespoons or 23 milliliters of warm milk. Then you're going to mix that together by hand until you have a nice mixture. And then you realize that you forgot the egg and you add 1 more egg as well. After you added the egg, you're gonna stir it again and you're gonna put the bowl into the stand mixer if you have one and just let it run for around 10 minutes. After around 2 minutes, you're gonna stop the mixer and you're going to add 1 1/4 tablespoons or 7 grams of our homemade butter. I'm gonna show you in a minute how to make that. And then just let it run for another 8 minutes and the dough is ready to rise. For that, you're just going to stop the mixer, gonna place the dough into a lightly greased bowl and cover it with plastic wrap and let it sit for around an hour or until it doubles in size. In the meantime, we're going to make our 10 herb truffle flavored butter. We're going to use 1 cup or 250 milliliters of heavy cream. Make sure the cream is cold and it's as fat as possible. Then you're going to place it in your stand mixer, let it run for probably around 10 minutes on medium speed. During that time you can see how the consistency changed from whipping cream to something in between butter and whipping cream. As soon as you see that the whipping cream is going to separate itself, then you're going to replace the whisk for the beater, slow down the speed to 2 or some lower speed, otherwise you have a huge mess. Then you will see how the whole mass is going to separate it to butter and buttercream. After that, just get it out of the mixer and we can start to clean the butter. Next, we're going to separate the buttermilk from the butter, just going to use a strainer and a second bowl for that. After that's done, you're gonna use another bowl, put the butter in there and just press all the leftover buttermilk out of it. After that's done, you're gonna empty the bowl and you're going to add some ice cold water and you just start pressing again and do that until the water is clear. So you're gonna empty it, you're gonna put water in there, still the water is clear and there's no buttermilk inside the butter anymore. Then just cover the bowl with plastic wrap and place it in the fridge until we're done cutting our herbs. And we're going to use some chives, some oregano, some thyme, some dill, some rosemary, some parsley and some sage. Make sure you're actually going to use fresh herbs. It's really important, it makes a huge difference. Cut all of them as small as possible. Make sure to remove the stem. I know it's a little bit tedious, but it's definitely worth it. I put the actual amount of ingredients in the description of the video. But honestly, for this butter, you just add what you like, which flavor, which seasoning you like. You can also add some garlic. We're gonna add a little bit of truffle oil in it as well and just mix it all together. I usually would not put the truffle oil in this butter, but they said specifically it's truffle flavored butter, so we're gonna do that here. You can also add some sea salt in it to give us a good flavor. Then next you're going to place a piece of plastic wrap on your kitchen counter. Gonna add the butter to it. You're going to form the butter to a sausage-like form, just push it out a little bit. And then you're gonna wrap it up like candy and put it in your fridge for around an hour or until we need it. Then our dough should be ready and should have been probably be doubled in size by now. Then you're gonna give it a slap, get it out of the bowl, and we're gonna form it into 6 equal pieces. Then you're going to place a little bit of flour on your work surface, not as much as I did. And you're going to cut it into 6 equal pieces. I like to use the scale just to make sure I have equal sizes, but you don't necessarily have to. Next we're going to form the bun, which we do. We fold the outer part into the middle, repeat that until we want around the whole thing. Then you're gonna place it on your work surface, in an area that's not floured, and then just move your hand in circular motions and try to form it with the back of your hand until you have a nicely shaped round ball. Then you're going to repeat that step for 5 more buns, and we can place them on a baking sheet covered with some parchment paper. I like to use a tart ring just to form it nicely. You don't necessarily have to, just my preference. Just push them down a little bit, make them flatter and in a nice round form. Then we're going to cover them again with plastic wrap and let them sit for another hour. Just make sure that the bun does not touch the plastic wrap, otherwise it might ruin the bun. Now I want to use this break to talk a little bit about how much is $300 for food actually. For that I'm going to introduce my friend John. John, hey, where are you? There he is. So, John lives in America. John works as a chef and makes an average income of $63,000 a year. So, what do you think, John? How much money should he spend on food? I know you would spend a lot and you would love to spend a lot, but unfortunately you can't. The USDA, the Department for Agriculture, said that the average American should spend between $165 and $345 a month on grocery. Which means if John gets this burger in a restaurant, it has to last him between 1 and 2 months. So you can do with that info whatever you want. I also don't try to bash the restaurant with that, because they said they will donate all the profit to a local food bank, which is a pretty nice thing to do. Thanks, John, and we are going back to Fancyland and see what our buns are doing. Seems like they turned out pretty nice. We're gonna cover 2 of them with flour and the other 2 with an egg wash, just that you guys can see the difference. Usually use egg wash for brioche bun. Then we're going to place them in the oven by 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes. And there they are, our homemade champagne brioche burger buns. Next we're going to make the Russian blinis for the caviar topping. For that we're going to use 1 egg, 2 teaspoons or 10 grams of sugar, 1/3 of a teaspoon or 2 grams of salt. Mix that together and just whisk it until it's a little bit foamy. After that you're gonna add 2/3 of a cup or 160 milliliters of milk. Then you're going to add 3/4 of a cup or 95 grams of flour. Make sure there are no crumbs inside. You're gonna mix that all together until you have a nice evenly coated butter. Now we're going to add 1 tablespoon or 14 grams of vegetable oil and then just whisk all together. So next we're gonna move over to the stove and we're gonna heat it up to medium-high heat. I'm gonna place some butter in there. Then we're going to add the blini butter. I used a small spoon and just form some small little blinis out of it and just let them in there until they're golden brown and then just flip them once and the blinis are ready. Next we're going to work with the ground beef. We're gonna use 1/2 pound or 500 grams of American Wagyu beef. Gonna season it with some smoked sea salt and some black pepper. I used around 1 teaspoon of sea salt and a good amount of pepper. But honestly, that's completely up to you how you like your beef to be seasoned. I would try a little bit, see if you like the seasoning. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna break the beef in half and we form 2 equal patties. In the middle of the beef, we're gonna place around 1 tablespoon or 14 grams of our herb butter. Gonna put the second patty on top and make sure that we close it on the side and form it again into a nice round patty. Then we're just going to slice the bun in half and getting it ready to toast the bun on the stove. Next we're going to slice the black truffle. Unfortunately I don't have a nice truffle cutter, so I just use my normal mandolin. You can add as much truffle as you want, to be honest. I just used around 2 grams. Then you're going to brush some butter on the buns and place it on a medium-high heat stove and just let it sit there for around 2 minutes until they're golden brown. Maybe give it a little push and then you get these buns. Now we're going to grill the patty and listen to the sound. I let it grill for around 2 to 3 minutes on each side and flip it, and then we can add the cheese. We were using some Montgomery cheddar cheese, which we were able to order online. Just let it melt and then put the patty aside. Next we're going to make our quail egg. I like my sunny side up. You can make yours over easy or however you want it. Now we arrived at the most tedious and unnecessary part of this video. I put a little bit of truffle oil on the bun with a toothpick, and after that I placed small flakes of gold with a tweezer on top of the bun. This took quite some time and I would probably recommend doing it before roasting the beef. Now we're ready to assemble the whole burger. We're going to start with the patty, add the black truffle on top of the patty, and after that we're going to put the quail egg on it and then put the top part of the bun on there. I put a little toothpick in it just for aesthetic reasons. Next, we have to assemble our blini. I used a little bit of creme fraiche and some caviar, and then we placed the blini with the caviar on top of the burger bun. Put a little toothpick in there, and that's it. That's our $300 burger for just $14.52. Thanks so much for watching and check out my channel. I usually upload once a week new videos.